Hi guys, I'm Phil Martin, and I want to show you how my company generates over 1,000 leads per month.
Obviously, I've got so many clients from you. Obviously, you're very good in sales. You brought us so many clients, and we've been very thankful.
We had to do something. So we called Phil, and we said, how are we going to compete against these guys? And he gave us a twofold
When it comes to marketing and sales, you are the man. Let's talk about that.
Well, I love sales.
Hey, he's a closer. He closes. Hey, he's a closer. You're one of the best, though, man.
I've trained realtors, business owners, and other marketers how to scale their business and brand from a 5-figure to 6-figure to a 7-figure business. Let my company build your next ad.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Project 20 podcast show. I'm your host, Phil Martin with Marketing by Phil. And today, look, I'm so excited. I have one of the GOATs in accounting and numbers, and he's a good friend of mine. This guy's been doing accounting for a lot of big businesses here in Houston and in Texas. And I'm just excited to have him on my show. So please help me give a warm welcome to my good friend, Mr. Craig Trackwell.
Thank you very much for having me, Philip.
Hey, man,
really
thank you.
It.
We appreciate you, man.
Absolutely,
welcome to the show.
absolutely.
Welcome to the show. Man, so before we get started, I just wanted to give a little rundown to my audience and let them know who they're about to hear from and, a little bit about your expertise. Mr. Trackwell, his family owned one of the biggest accounting firms in Texas. Okay, so he's been doing accounting for a long time. He has other passions like music, but accounting is what we're talking about today, Craig. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Again, my name is Craig Trackwell. My family I'm born from a bunch of accountants. We have one of the bigger accounting firms here in the greater Houston area. Got about 1,100 clients, focusing on from individual taxes to big business. Again, really thank you for having me on the show today. It's been kind of crazy out there of late with all the coronavirus and whatnot, but
it has.
Very glad to be able to make it here and talk a little bit.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. And while you touched on the coronavirus thing, how are you guys handling that over there? Are y'all are they taking people? Are they working at home at this point, or are they just okay?
Yeah, it's tax season, so everything's going full storm. All decks on board right now as we speak. But everybody's working from home right now. It's a transition. Luckily, the IRS has gotten involved and given everybody an extension, so everybody can slow down a little bit instead of hitting all of these deadlines that are coming up here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But needless to say, there hasn't been a pandemic like this in at least 101 years.
It's crazy, and I have a small team of 6, and they're working virtual as well. They're working from home just to keep it safe. So we definitely understand, but it's crazy. But life must goes on, and money is still need to be made. So we're gonna kind of just dive right into it. But Craig, so just let me ask you, how long have you been in the accounting business? How long have you been doing it? And your family? Just give me a...
Our business has been incorporated for about 32 years now here in the state of Texas. I've been personally doing this for about 9 years, on and off, from personal income taxes to doing people's books to now more on a consulting side, working for the most part. But come from a family. My grandmother did it, my dad, and it's all decks on board right now. It's all roads ahead right now.
Yeah, and I definitely understand it. Let me ask you, what advice would you give a small business owner who's doing pretty decent in sales right now for their second year in business? What advice would you give them on how to make sure their books are straight?
Ooh. And that's always a lot of people get involved being an entrepreneur and they don't really realize all of the hurdles that come with that. And one of the biggest is running your books, and it is so vital to have somebody that's professional looking at this on the days in and days out transactions to really get a good idea of exactly what's going on and catching things before things get way out of hand. So there's so many trials and tribulations to be an entrepreneur, no doubt about it. But I'd say one of the biggest things is to make sure you got your team ready to rock when it comes to getting your books done. It should be something that should be
definitely. You don't want to get Wesley sniped. I mean, no, I'm just saying, because I know sometimes
the IRS doesn't play.
Yeah, they don't play, and like you said, some business. I have a lot of clients. Most of them are really good business owners, and they do business really well. But some of them don't do business too good. So
Sure.
the books are kind of all over the place. But that's not my expertise. But that's why I wanted to speak with you about that and ask, what are some of your thoughts about that? So
I would say, just being very transparent and staying on top of it. I would say the biggest flaw to a lot of new entrepreneurs is maybe not understanding the tax law and thinking that not understanding is going to get them across saying, I didn't understand.
Right.
It doesn't really matter. A lot of people, 60% of businesses don't make it, right?
Absolutely.
So if you're starting off from the jump, it's always going to be tough from that standpoint. And cash is king, right? It's all about being liquid and being able to stay liquid. And to be able to do that, you got to have good credit. You got to have everything lined up, and you got to have your ducks in a row. And to do that, you got to really understand, how the whole entire process works, and how you get that done is typically, getting some advice from a CPA firm and making sure you're on the right path.
Right, who knows exactly what they're doing. And like he just said, 50% of the business fail within 5 years for new business startups. It's a little lower for businesses for the second year, but they still fall off as well, though. So just make sure you have all your ducks in a row. And besides that, make sure you advertise, right? So, Craig, let me ask you this. So, with your firm, what type of different business, you don't have to name any names, but what type of different type of businesses would you say you guys do?
We concentrate in?
Yeah.
I would say, we're all over the board. We do a lot of individuals, but what really trickles into their businesses, I'd say the vast majority of our revenue comes from doctor's offices and dentist offices. I'd say those are probably some of our biggest clients. Also, we're pretty high up in the oil field, considering we're in Houston, Texas. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, the big business just booms here. So this is one of the biggest economies in the world.
Right. Now, there are pitfalls. I know we touched on it a little bit, making sure your books are good and the RRS is great and all that good stuff. But what are some of the other pitfalls that you see that either corporations or small businesses end up making? How could my audience avoid those landmines out there?
I mean, there's just so many. It would be hard just to pinpoint one specifically. Being an entrepreneur and owning a small business is just so tough. There's just so many different variables that are going to be thrown at you that you can't control. And due to that, you just need to be on top of your toes more than ever. And to do that, you just have to have professional guidance. It's really, walking you through step by step how to do things, especially if you don't have experience doing those things, right?
Right, absolutely.
So I would say more than anything, it's not really a certain thing to do more than just a way of looking at things, right? The smartest man in the room is the man that knows what he doesn't know, right? And a lot of people, walk around and want to tell you everything that they know, and the smartest cats in the room are usually the ones that are pretty quiet and are observing, So I would do my best to figure out to make sure that I had the best understanding to know what I don't know, and a lot of times that can be really tricky, right?
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because in some of my trainings, I teach that, so I'm glad to hear someone else with your brain say something like that. Now, let me say, so it's obvious that you really can't market accounting. So how would a firm like your firm get acquisition? How would you get business?
I mean, good people know good people. I mean, it's a referral business, right? I mean, that's where we get everything off. Obviously, I've gotten so many clients from you. Obviously, you're very good in sales. You've brought us so many clients, and we've been very thankful over the years for those things. But, I mean, it's a referral business, right? You do good business by people. Right. They're going to tell people. You do poor business, and you do things, and you cut corners. In the long run, it's going to cost you, right?
Yeah,
So
you're right. You're absolutely right. And I tell people all the time, like you just said, good people, man. You have to, and relationships. It's all about nurturing relationships. I mean, I really preach that. I tell them all the time in my Project 20 rules, that's Project 20 Rule 14, you have to learn how to nurture relationships, whether it's your colleagues or a potential client or customer. You have to really nurture because you want what? You want repeated business. You want that referral at the end of the day, right? And you always want people to love you and your brand. Absolutely. So you have to nurture those relationships. People they need to love you, man. And I tell them all the time, they need to like you. They need to. People want to do business with people they know, love, and trust. So once you get those clients and those colleagues, you have to learn how to nurture those relationships. It's very vital.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree
more. What would you say to a firm like your family's firm that produces in revenue? I don't need a huge number, but a firm like your family firm with gazillion clients like you got, what are some of the basic revenue numbers a firm like your firm run through in a year?
You know, it's going to vary on the different types of roles that we have going on, depending if it's tax season or if
Okay.
you know, with oil going down right now, a lot of due diligence deals will not be, you know, getting done, and that's a big revenue maker in the accounting world. It's a lot of big businesses that are buying other oil companies. They don't know exactly what the value of that company is, and so if they're smart, they bring in somebody that has the ability to sit down, really go through here and get a very good understanding of what that value is, relay that information, and then there's a nice fee for that, right?
Oh, wow, that's
and
good.
it's a week or two worth of work. So, and that depends on the economy. So stuff like the coronavirus and stuff like that are really going to slow it down, but hopefully we're going to, you know, bounce back
Gonna
in the
make it
next
out of this, of
couple of
course.
months or so. But I'd say, you know, give or take, the sky's the limit on anything. All right,
Right.
it's a in our families, it's a multi-million dollar. You know, there's, you know, we have multiple offices and
Right.
30, 40. You know,
Absolutely. How does oil and gas and accounting fit together, though? I mean, you know.
I mean, oil and gas runs the world right now, especially here in Houston from an economic standpoint.
Yes.
And due to that, anything that has money needs to have somebody checking it, right? And if somebody's checking it, obviously, especially, it all comes back from Arthur Anderson in 2002 with Enron, right? When Minute Maid used to be Enron before. A lot of the kids don't know that, right? But, you know, Enron was one of the bigger electric companies here in the world, or one of the bigger companies in the world, and they had Arthur Anderson, which was at the time was, you know, the part of the Big Five, the biggest accounting firm in the country, and they were kind of pulling some moves they shouldn't have been pulling, but it just shows there's just, yeah, I guess I'm kind of going in circles here. We'll probably have to spin back on that, but I didn't like how I answered that.
Yeah, that was good.
I'm trying to think. Oil and gas. Yeah, I mean, realistically, I mean, I don't know that like exact number on what it would be on something like that.
No, I know it has to be a number, but
Right.
but I was just trying to figure out how does oil and gas and accounting tie in with each other, and then you brought it back from Arthur Anderson and Enron, which was cool. So I guess the more money they make, they need somebody to be on top of their books, and you kind of said that though, really.
No, and they do though, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's what happens. So people weren't checking books back in the day. I brought that up due to in 2002 when Enron ran a farce and they had the biggest accounting firm in the world at the time was covering it. Right. When this came out to the world that this was happening, there had to be new procedures put in place. And now you had to have accounting firms checking other accounting firms, right?
Yeah.
So you can't just pull what they pulled. So due to that, there's a lot more demand for accountants now, right? Because you got to double check and triple check things, especially when it comes to big business, especially when it comes to the oil and gas industry, just because it's a titan, right? It's the biggest economic, you know, it's by far the biggest economic indicator here in the Houston area.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Wow. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the 5 minutes with Phil for the Project 20 podcast show. I hope my audience learned some things today. Most of the time we're talking about marketing, advertising, and sales. Today we're talking about accounting because it's very important for business owners to make sure that your books are straight. You do not want to get Wesley sniped.
I love that.
And you don't want the man coming behind you talking about, hey, your taxes, your books are off. Somebody's in there in the kitchen cooking the books. No, so make sure that your books are right. Get your accounting together. If you need someone to do your accounting, you can holler at my guy right here, the Trackwell accounting firm. He can give you some information. Right now, click the link below. Subscribe. Go to the website, Marketing by Phil. Sign up for one of our training courses, and you could be right in line to get some of this brilliant mastermind training. See you guys next week on the Project 20 podcast show. Thank you very much.